Okay, so now it's December 3rd. This is what you call mental therapy. Okay? So, I got my vanilla beans. There's 25 per pack. You can see that. From the Vanilla Bean King Company in the United States of America. This is, oh boy, I can't see it, people. What are we at? A Tahitian bean. And it's a grade gourmet. So that would be a grade A. Okay? And what we're going to do, gather up my jars. I'm going to get on with it, right? We still have these ones, right? You can see the color is changing now. A little bit. As we go along. Right? I haven't labeled them yet. I forgot when I made them. So I have to go find my video. And then I'm going to label them. I'll put them in a box. And then at some point today, after I get beans done, we'll talk about the beans in a minute, I'm going to use these 2 bottles. Hopefully get 4 more jars. That's what I'm hoping for. Finish off this baby. Right? I'm just going to use these lids for now until I get my lids coming in the mail. Because I can't wait. Right? Because I need to clear off my counter, people. There's things I want to do. Right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear off my counter. I'm going to get these made, put them in a box, move the box, and then just keep shaking them every day until, you know, it goes down to once a month, right? These ones I'm still doing every day. Okay? If I have to, I'm going into my booze storage, and I'll grab another bottle, right? It would be nice if I can do 12 bottles, or sorry, 12 1-pint size jars, right? Some that will be ready in 2 years, and some that hopefully will be ready in 6 months. Okay, and then after they're ready, then I'll decide what I'm going to do with them. So that's what I kind of want to finish up today and moving along, right? And I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I'm going to build it into Andre's Walnut Art website, right? I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but that's what I mean by share the wealth, right? I'm not going to drink, or not drink, but I should say I'm not going to cook with 12 1-pint size jars of vanilla extract in my lifetime. It's completely impractical. So, in the meantime, we see we've got beans here. Now, before I open up these beans, right, I might open up these ones because they're nice and fresh, right? You can see I've got my big pot over there. Now, I did create myself, for every solution there's a problem, right? You have to create work for yourself, right? So I wouldn't call it a problem. But anyway, I've already, just by slapping this bag, I've already punctured the bag. So we'll definitely keep this bag out, and I'm going to start cooking these. Okay? Right? And then, but before I did the same thing here, but I can always vacuum seal these beans and pack them away, because I'm going into Auntie ShaMay's room. Okay? Now we're going to just keep this video light today. Try to anyway. Alright? I really try to. Okay, although I have a headache. But that headache is from pressure in the eyes, people. That's mainly where it comes from. I'm trying to figure out where I can put this camera on. Right. Okay. I put it right there, do you see? That's its station. So, but it's not high enough. I'm always having to put something there, right? Let's see if that works. What great content. Okay. I have tons and tons and tons and tons of beans downstairs, right? But I really do want to go back to that store and buy some more. I do. I didn't get to go through that whole store, people, and I so want to go back. Okay, so anyway, just to... I got my beans, right? Not that I need beans, but I bought, obviously, 4 bags here. You can see that, right? And, but I am going downstairs into Auntie ShaMay's room, and I've got beans in a big thing, and I think I'm going to maybe cook up some of those beans. Right, so this is what I'm going to, and because I bought the hamburger, now it's just, I think lean and medium lean, right? It was discounted. I bought a whole bunch, and I said I wanted to make chili and canned chili. So for the next 2 days or so, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be canning again, people. I have the jars, right? I have the food, right? And I like the idea of just being able to open up a jar of canned chili. I am. And because they had these little hams on sale, I bought 3 of them. So I'm thinking, you know, I don't know if I necessarily, not really supposed to freeze a ham. I mean, you can, and I don't really want to, and I don't really have the space. So since I'm canning and everything, and I'm trying to make like just simple meal or something, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe just to bake it a bit so it gets a bit of a broth, right? Have my beans. See, when you start doing stuff like that, you kind of need the broth, right? You need the water to go through the food a little bit, right? So that's why I'm thinking to bake it in the oven with a fair amount of liquid, right? Maybe even throw in a squash there to give it flavor, right? And then if I do it that way, and then combine the ham with the beans, with the broth, and maybe a few carrots or something like that. You know, it's not really a chili, but it's almost a pre-made meal, right? That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Otherwise I'm going to freeze it, right? And so, and they were cheap. They were like, but by the time the discount was done, they were like $6 each versus paying $12, right? So, you know, for me it was attractive, right? So I'm going to start cooking up some beans anyway. Now, I didn't pre-soak these. I probably should have pre-soaked them last night. But like I said, I want to go downstairs and see what I can find down there. Like, easy peasy, right? I don't want to have to dig for stuff. I just want to find something that's easy peasy. And then start cooking them up and definitely make the chili. I've already asked Andre to help me to make little meatballs, which I'm going to fry, okay? This is the way I've decided to do my chili. I've decided to make little meatballs, right? Hamburger meatballs. And I'm going to fry them, obviously degrease them, and then I'm going to make my chili with whatever I've got kicking around. Actually, I should have bought a few more peppers, but I wasn't thinking about it. I did buy 1 pepper. My son might have peppers. I might have a pepper or 2 kicking around. I'd have to go downstairs and look. But make the chili with the tomato and the tomato sauce and the beans and your onion and whatever you want, you know, whatever you want to put in there. And then at the very end, after it's been cooked and your meat's been cooked, right? And you have a nice sauce, that's when you put your little meatballs in, you mix it in, and then you put it into your jar, and you would can it that way, right? And of course, because you're dealing with meat, you go with the higher temperature in terms of, well, not temperature, but time. You go with the higher time. So if you're canning like 5 milliliters or a 1 pint sized jar of chili, that would be 75 minutes. That's my stomach growling. That would be 75 minutes in your pressure canner. When you're getting into these types of jars, you're getting up to 90 minutes. Okay? So, as long as it's not too thick, you don't thicken it up with flours and stuff like that, you're good. Even, and I've done it, people, with the larger noodles, like with chicken soup and that type of thing, if you have 1 or 2 in your jar with a broth, with your carrot and your turkey and your celery, and you know, like as if it was soup coming out of a pot, and then you can it, you can have 1 or 2 actual noodles in there, and it's not going to interfere with the heat traveling through. So in terms of, I would say, the ham with a few beans, well, it depends. I don't know. I think before I do that, I'd probably put carrots in it or something, right? You know, I'm trying to think what I can do with this ham. like a chili, you know, you can make the chili with the hamburger, right? That's open the jar, heat it up, and eat it, right? I'm trying to think what I can do with the beans and the ham. I mean, I could do just beans and ham by themselves with a bit of broth, but then you'd have to add it into something else when you're going to start using it versus just eating it that way. Unless, of course, that's what you want. I suppose you could. So anyway, that's kind of like what I've created for myself right now. Now, I'm going to try and avoid talking politics, talking about, you know, the stuff that's going on in the world right now. I mean, we know where I stand on that one. However, I was just listening to the Premier of Quebec, okay? And he canceled Christmas, I guess. Now, I'm not going to incorporate this video where he said that into this video, okay? I'm going to try and maybe do something separate on that, because remember when I told you I was looking at a premier that I think has been under the CRISPR with monkey DNA? Well, that's not the premier of Montreal, okay? That's the premier of Quebec. So I'm not surprised that he's taking away Christmas from everybody. It's the fact of what he says and how he says it, right? And how he tries to guilt trip people to accept it. That's why I'm making a comment on it, okay? A lot of gaslighting. Well, we wouldn't want you to go for Christmas because if you came back and, well, if you went somewhere with your family, because he's saying that you can't have Christmas except with the people in your house. That's it. That's the only thing you're allowed to do. Right? And however, if mom or dad are living by themselves, no mention of being in a care facility under lock and key, but if they're living by themselves, only one person can go visit them. Only one. Because it's their right to do that. So he speaks with forked tongue. It's their right to be able to go visit their mom or dad who are living by themselves, but it is not their right to have mom or dad come to the house and have dinner, because if mom or dad does that and then comes down with a virus that may or may not annihilate them, then it becomes the fault of the daughter or son or relative to where that elderly person, mom or dad, or anybody for that matter, everybody's included in that mom and dad scenario, right? Now, I don't know how funny I look when I do that, because I can't see. It's all blurry. Make sure I get it right. Doesn't that look like something that came from Planet of the Apes? You remember that movie? Didn't they talk too? Weren't they scientists experimenting on humans? Doesn't it sound familiar? So anyway, I'm going to leave that video for another day. Put my disclaimer in there, right? I don't think it's a crime to be able to talk about these things. It's when you start showing the evidence around it that gets you into trouble. Right? Because it's up for debate, right? God forbid if we have an honest debate in our society, right? So anyway, I've kind of created myself some work here. No regrets, right? I'm happy I went into that store yesterday. I am so looking forward to going back. When I go, I'm going to make sure I have like between $500 to $700. But that's not going to happen for a while, because I got to get a handle on what I still have to make those shelves and organize Auntie ShaMay's room much better, right? To compensate for the stuff that I've been doing. So why don't we just stay focused on a food video today? How about that? Alright. I don't know if you remember this on my little cover, right? Look at what's in there. But that was a long time ago. So I'm going to use up some of these. Plus, some of these. Before I'll use these. Right? No. Blueberries from the farms. But do you see how nice they freeze? When you freeze them directly in a box. Oh, they're so good. I can't imagine how good these are. I'm not. Oh my God, they're so good. Anyway. I don't know how many beans I need to make. I got my pot there. I have to think about it. Hold on. Okay, so guess what's happening to me now? What's new? I'm having panic attacks. Why? You're asking, why are you having panic attacks? Well, in part, because I feel like I need to be doing something else. That's just the way it is, right? Doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm always supposed to be doing something else. But I'm telling myself that I'm being responsible, because I did say I was going to do this, right? And if you notice, I'm not using the new beans first. I'm using the old beans. And I'm going to take this whole thing. I don't know how many beans I'm going to get out of that pot. That's a lot of beans, people. I don't even think I need these beans. Like this is a big pot of beans. It says by 2/3. This is almost at a half. What does it say? What's the directions on this? Wash and sort. Sorry. Wash and sort. Use heavy kettle with a capacity of at least 3 times the amount of water and beans. 3 times the amount. I'd have to do half of it. Half of it. Because I'm cooking my beans first because I want to cook out the toxins before I can them. Right? So, for the most part, I'm cooking the beans. Everything's going to be cooked. It's just going to get canned that way, right? Like I said, I'm even going to cook the little meatballs, vegetables, everything. So anyway, I'm going to go through these beans, and I guess I'm going to get another pot, because, what do you call it? Even if I don't use them all, which I probably will, between the 2 meats, right? Because I want to put beans with the pork, right? The ham. I'm going to do beans and ham, and maybe carrots or something, I don't know, and chili. But I do want a different kind of bean in there as well. So, hold on. So I brought my other pot out, you can see. And then my canners around the corner. That didn't take long before I brought them out. Oh yeah, I got this really, really funny video. And we'll put it in the description of, or in the comments or somewhere. After when I upload this, it's like it's a funny video, people. You have to watch it. But in the meantime, okay, what you want are pots with a bottom lip on it. Okay, you don't want the metal right on the burner, otherwise it's gonna burn. You see, that one there too. Hey, so you want heavy bottom pots. So I'm gonna guess I go through this and just go through them quickly. Pick out what I don't want. Now I could cook these up for the raccoons, right? And I may do that after the fact. So I'm going to break this into 2 for now. Right? And then this one here, I don't know. I'm not very good with doing this amount of beans. I figure what I don't use, I can just put them into bags and put them in the freezer, and my son will eat them with his meals. Right. We'll see how many I use. Hold on. Okay, so I gotta be careful here because I don't want, like, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of beans. So I grabbed like a little handful like that, and I counted 12 already, right, in terms of one pint-sized jars with my chili. Okay, because, right? So, I don't know. So I'm thinking about that amount of beans would go in a jar with the rest of the stuff. Maybe a little more, because don't forget, these are going to swell, right? So we've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Anyway, you see what I'm doing there. So I'm just going to keep it simple. I already went through those ones, and I'm going to cook up these ones, right? I don't think I'm going to cook any more than that, just because, right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Now these ones are nice, but these ones will do. I would like to try and do some of these. I'm going to have to find something else to do with these beans. Like, you know, I don't eat myself, cook and eat a lot of beans, but I probably should now. Right? Why not? So I have to figure it out, right? Hold on. Okay, so I got some just basic white beans here. I'm just going to put those in there too, right? You can see I've got them in a jar. Have them up in the cupboard over there, right? You can see. So in the next iteration, a whole bunch over there. Anyway, and then I just took some from here. Right? I'm going to start with this first. See what I get. If there's any left over after the fact, I'm going to take Amari's little food dishes, right? And I'm going to freeze them that way, right? So it's convenient for me, right? And I don't know, I need to start experimenting more with beans and making meals with them, so we'll see. Hold on. Okay, I'm moving slow. Anyway, as you can see, these are tomatoes. When I had that tomato bountiful, that bountiful batch of tomatoes, that's all I had. Tomatoes, 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 tomatoes. And obviously Uncle John was with me, 2014, when I canned these, sitting in his chair over there by the food pantry, talking to me. Alright? Now, the thing about these jars is, for whatever reason, you know, I left the lids on. So currently, I can't really unscrew them because they've been sitting there like that for a long, long, long time. So what you do in this situation, before you try and crank it, you can just run it under some hot water like you would if you bought a jar from a grocery store, and it helps to make it pop, right? Release. What it will do is it will help to release the lid. It won't pop the lid, but it will help to release the rim, I guess you could say. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release the rims with hot water, and then I'm going to open them up. You can see they're perfectly fine, nice and red, right? It's just they've been sitting here for a long time. And then I'm going to open up jar by jar, one by one, and pour them in here. I'm going to smell them, right? Look at everything, right? And then if it looks like it's good, right, might even taste it, okay? I don't think it's going to kill me, all right? Because if there was problems, you're gonna notice it when you go to take off this, right? And my goal is to use up these. I think I've got a couple or more of them, but anyway, I found those 4. I've got some downstairs too, right? And I've got a few in my bedroom as well. So anyway, I'm going to try and use these 4 jars. Plus, I've got these cans of tomatoes, right? And I've got some Hunt's tomato sauce, right? And I've got more cans of tomatoes if for some reason these aren't viable, okay? I'll let you know in a minute. So hold on. Okay, so I got the lids off. Now, I am going to point out, right? Now, back in the day, this here, I'm going to chop up, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to start sauteing it. Okay, but don't forget, I'm going to make the hamburger balls separate. I'm going to fry them. Obviously, I don't have enough space here, but I'm pretty nifty with my little space. I can accomplish a lot. This is why you want big pots, people, okay? So anyway, let's get back to these tomatoes. Now, if you look at these lids, the thing is, back in the day, when I was first starting out with canning, you know, like really canning, like canning, right? You know, I obviously left these lids on. This is another reason why they tell you to take off the rims after you're done canning, because if you don't, they can rust. Okay? And of course they start to, you know, rust on the outside, everything. Okay? So that's another reason why you want to take them off. Okay? Obviously some are more rusted than others. Right? I don't even think I ever took off the lids on these. Right? Back in the day, you know, wasn't as due diligent, I guess you could say. Right? So anyway, now I'm going to take off these lids. But before I do that, I'm going to cut this up, and I'm going to get it sauteing, and then I'm going to open up jar by jar. I'm going to pour it into this, right? Do my inspection, and then I'm probably going to take another pot, and pour it in there if I'm satisfied with what I'm looking at and smelling and everything else, right? And I'm going to heat it up, okay? And I'm going to do that jar by jar by jar, because just because this has happened doesn't mean that the inside is bad, okay? It just means that you left this on and maybe it was not completely dry, right? And over a period of how many years, people? 6 years? Okay, we're in 2020. Okay, and this was done in May of 2014. So you do the math. I don't know how I had all these tomatoes in May, but I guess I did. So hold on. Okay, so all I got in here right now is the vegetables. You can see that. Onions, green pepper, lots and lots of celery, 1 red pepper, and some carrot. Okay? I'm mixing it up. And then I've got, what? How many cloves? That's 4, 7 of them. This is my mother's trick. She taught me this. Right? And I'll throw that in there, and I'm going to just start sauteing it. Hold on. Okay, so this is the way I'm doing it, because the thing about beans is when you buy them in a can, people, I highly doubt that they can them pre-cooked. I think they take them, put them hard, dry, like whatever, right, into a can with their ratio of water, and they can them up that way. So the thing about that, though, is beans, when they're dry, you cook them, right? If you don't drain off some of the water, like when you're beginning, right? They have toxins, okay? That's what gives you the gas and everything. So the more you can get rid of those initial stages of cooking your bean, in terms of it goes into the water, the better. So, okay, you seen what I did. I brought it to a boil. I put the lid on it. I let it sit for an hour and a half. Now I just rinsed them, right? Gave them a good rinse. You can see they're nice, okay? Now I'm taking some fresh water. I'm putting it in there. And then I'm going to bring it to a boil, turn it down. I'm going to salt it a bit, right? And then I'm going to cook them on, just simmer them lightly, you know, for about an hour and a half, whatever it is, until they're almost done, okay? That's basically what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm going to use for what I'm doing, okay? Now, I just started this. I've had a little teeny weeny bit of oil at the bottom of this thing here, just a very little bit, not even a teaspoon or so, from leftover oil that I was doing French fries with, right? And then I just put some water in there just to get it started, okay? It's better to use the water versus too much grease, because you're canning this. And don't forget, even when you fry your hamburger, because it's hamburger, right, you know, it is still going to give off a bit of grease even after the fact. So, I don't know. It's 6 o'clock now. You can see that. I don't know how long this is going to take me because I'm kind of moving like a snail, right? Like, seriously. When you do stuff like this, especially when you get into the big bulk, right? You know, you go to 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't really want to go to 6 o'clock in the morning because I have things to do tomorrow and I don't want to be real tired, right? Amari has an eye appointment and Tisha's taking Amari to the eye appointment, which means I have to keep an eye on Alea May, and I don't want to be extremely tired. So, you know, being up till 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't know, it's kind of pushing it, right? It's kind of pushing it, people. So anyway, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my water. Okay, I'm going to have to add a little more water in there, I think. Okay. Now, this water, as it cooks, it will be okay to add to something else if I want, right? Because I've already leached out some of that, what's in the bean, right? I don't want to get into the physics around it. But this is the best way. And if you're going to can beans in a can, you know, in a jar, if you're going to can beans in a jar, it's better to can them already pre-cooked versus dry, right? Because anything that's in the bean that you haven't leached out through previous cooking is going to be in your jar. Okay? It's you just kind of like, I don't know. If you're going to can beans, you might as well go that extra mile. If you're going to can beans, you might as well go that extra mile. Right? And pre-cook them for the most part. You know, I don't know what the ratio is, how many cups of cooked beans into a jar, but it's online, right? This is different. They're being incorporated into food, right? With tomato sauce, which gives the heat the ability to travel through the food, right? That's the way it is. Now, I'm going to add a bit of salt. This is mineral salt, not the Himalayan sea salt, but the other one that's got a lot of high minerals in it. Okay? So I'm going to put that in there. Just a bit. Because I might decide to use that juice after the fact. I might use it with the ham, but then it depends. Because as I'm opening up these jars and changing these jars, you see there's hardly anything in that jar. So I'm going to put this in. This is a sweet leaf. Came from my yard, I guess, in 2015. Look how nice and green it is because it sat in the cupboard. Yeah, still smells good. Sweet people. Moy, oh moy. That's strong for as old as it is. Yeah. So I might put a little bit of this in there. I might. But you can definitely taste the sweetness in it. I wonder where this plant is. I'm gonna go look for another plant like this. I can't think. It's been so long. 2015. Imagine that. So, anyway, I'm gonna empty this into a smaller jar, and then I'm gonna take these jars as I'm opening them, and I put a couple of more in the sink. As long as I have 7, right? 1 quart size jars, 7. I can put 7 in my canner. Because I'm doing pint size and I'm doing quart size. And I want 7 quarts of, we'll see what I get, right? Because I can do this again. I got lots and lots of beans. And we know I want to go bean shopping, so. Oh, and my son said, I said to him, you know, son, I said, son. I said, you know, you can cook beans and freeze them. Did you know that? He goes, no. I said, yeah, apparently so. So I told him I'm going to cook those beans in that big thing of mine, and I'll freeze a whole bunch in sandwich-sized bags for him, and give him a big bag of cooked beans. So that's your Christmas present. And he said, "Oh, that's nice, Mom. I like that idea." Because he likes eating beans. He just hasn't been eating them lately. So if I make them for him, especially if I degas them first, you know, he'll like it, right? Okay, so we're going to start with the ones that don't look compromised. Okay? Now, this one here is the best, I think, out of the lot. Okay, in terms of when food sits in a jar for any length of time. Okay? I already looked online, people. Okay? Keep this in mind. When you open the lid, okay, underneath the lid, it may look black. Okay? And it's not that the food is no good. It's the fact that there's just oxidization going on where at the top of the lid it can do that. Okay? I'm looking in here. I don't see anything so far. It's so dark in here for me. Now I don't know if it's no, see, it's not necessary for me to try and recycle this lid, so I'm just going to open it up like this. You heard it pop. And if you notice, this one is pretty clean. Okay, considering. Oh boy. Oh my God, it smells like tomatoes, people. It smells so, so good. And because it's not sitting in a can, right, you're not going to get that tinny taste if it's been in a can for long, long periods of time. Because the difference between this and this is if you have this in long-term food storage for years and years and years, the acid within the tomato will start eating through the can. So if you come across a can that's been in food storage for quite a while and it's starting to bulge, right, don't even open it. Just chuck it out, okay? Right? If it's leaching, well, it won't, yeah, if it's starting to turn, you know, you're getting a lot of black and it's starting to bulge, you just get rid of it because that's no good, okay? So this is why I just want to get more into canning it in a jar, okay? But if for some reason, I'm going to show you because I see it on another jar here, right? But this one smells exactly as if it came from a can. I can tell you that already. So I'm going to put that in there, all right? And those are big-ass tomatoes. Okay, those I did whole. Those ones are like big like this. Okay, so that one I'm going to be reusing these jars. All right? And then we've got this one, which for the most part looks pretty clean. Right? So we'll pop it. You heard that. Okay. Now on this lid, see? It started to eat through. Do you see that? So, now it smells like tomato. It's just on the lid. More than likely, it is fine. Okay? Because that will happen on your lid sometimes. Here's another one. Now remember, I kept the caps on because back in those days, I was still kind of green around the grills. And some of them I was taking off and some of them I wasn't. Obviously, these ones I didn't for whatever reason. And then they just been sitting. They haven't been moved around. None of that stuff, right? Okay, so I'm going to open up this one. You heard that one, okay? And this one's nice and clean. Okay, this is just a seed. Those are just seeds, right? Because I was trying to take off those rims. But look how nice and clean that one is. Oh, and it smells so, so good. So I'm going to put that one in there. Okay. Okay? This one kind of sounded funny, right? And being that there's rust right here, and when you turn it over, there's that compromise spot. You know what, people? I'm not starving. I think that one I'm just going to put in the compost. It smells perfectly fine, but I've got tomatoes all over the house, okay? I got them frozen. I've got them in cans. I've got them still in jars downstairs and in my bedroom. So that there is no dire emergency. But if I was low on food and I had to use it and I really had no choice, right? Then what I would probably do in that situation is I would, what do you call it? Put it into a pot, separate pot, and I'd bring it to a boil. Okay, obviously if it smelt real rancid, I wouldn't do it. If it looked real bad, I wouldn't do it. But it's not doing that, so, but I don't need it. Like, it's not something that I absolutely need to have. Okay, now this one, I can see underneath the jar, in the lid, that oxidization I was telling you about, okay? And just because a jar is like that doesn't mean that the food inside the jar is bad. However, they always recommend that, you know, outside of fruit and sugar, right, you know, it is best to, your vegetables, your meats, I guess in this case tomatoes, just to heat it up for that 10 minutes before you consume it. And that, because that just gets rid of, if there is a botulism or anything in there, it's just it's like added security. That's all, right? A lot of people don't do it. So we're going to open up this one now. This is the last jar because I want these jars because I'm going to use these jars. And plus, it's time to move on with these things, right? Okay, we're going to listen to it. You heard that. It sounded good. And this one here, this is what I mean by a little bit of oxidization, okay? Obviously, this was the food, right? You can see the food is coming off, okay? You can see that's food, right? Here, it started to compromise the lid, okay? But it didn't go through the lid, all right? So this is fine because if smells like tomatoes. If this sat in this for any length of time, you're going to get a little something like that. Okay? Because that's what acid in tomatoes does. Okay? It's not completely contaminated because it never touched the food. It's just oxidization. Sometimes it does that. So I just want to point that out to you. So this one I'm going to use. And then I'm going to show you this other one, because it didn't sound very good when I opened it. And, I mean, it's probably fine. It smells fine. It looks fine. Everything's fine, I'm sure. But it will make happy worm food, okay? Because this is really no different than what I just showed you, right? But I didn't like the way that one sounded when I opened it. So we're just going to leave that. So let me just take this out of here first and then rinse off my fingers. And then I'm going to show you these beautiful tomatoes. Hold on. Okay. So these are now starting to cook. You can see the steam. Right? My favorite pastime in life here. So here's these beautiful tomatoes. Alright. Do you see that? Look at that. Nice and red. They smell good. They look good. This one looks a little kind of duddy. Now, mind you, this has been sitting here for a very long time. I don't know about that. You see, this is why you want to have things separate. Right? Been sitting there for so long. Hold on a minute. Okay, so basically what it is it's the seeds, right? It's the seeds that are discolored in terms of, you know how tomatoes have different color seeds sometimes, right? Okay. Obviously those seeds there were a little immature. Okay. I'm looking at this, right? I went through them all because I canned a lot of these tomatoes whole. I didn't cut them open to look at the seeds. Oh, I don't know, something's scratching there. So anyway, I'm going to start this now on the back burner, and I'm going to bring it to a full boil, and I'm going to start boiling it for a bit, and then I'm going to bring it down and have it on a low boil, okay? Hold on. Okay, so you see, you just bring it to a boil, okay? It's because the inside of the tomato, right, with, you know, every tomato is different. Some have more green seeds, and of course, as things sit over time, things oxidize, right? So, and those jars have been, like, moved around and whatever, right? So, anyway, we salvaged 3 jars out of 4, okay? There's that one. And then, what I'm going to do now that I got it boiling, right, okay, I'm going to turn it down to about 4, and I'm going to put a lid on it, so it gets real hot, nice hot in there, right? And I'm going to put the timer on for at least 10 minutes, okay? At least 10 minutes. And that's going to do the job for what you need, if you're concerned about anything. Okay, so the 10 minutes is up now, right? I've got it at between 4 and 5, but when you open it, you can see what's going on. It's boiling. So that is good. Okay, now I'm going to turn it off, and just at some point, I'm going to taste it. Just not yet, because I'm kind of busy. So I had the beans just bubbling away. So I turned them down. I'm going to cook them for an hour and a bit. And I'm washing dishes, washing jars, right? I'll take this out to the compost. I'm sure it's fine, but that's where it's going to go.
I'll
and then
take it out to the compost.
No, it's okay. I will do that because I got other things I have to take out there and it's dark. Okay. And what do you call it? When I open up cans like this, I like to open them up and then put them into a separate container first, right? To see if, you know, the same kind of situation happens with oxidization or whatever, because, you know, you open up a can, it tastes a little kind of like metally, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It's when it's really starting to bulge and it's, you know, like discoloration and, you know, just the whole 9 yards, right? So before I take these and just throw them in there, I will open them up and I'll pour them into another bowl or something, and I'll look at it and look at the can, right? I'm more interested to see what's in the can right now, because I've had some of these for a while now, right? And I don't know which is which, but okay, hold on. Okay, so I just tasted it. Tastes like tomato. The only thing is, it needs more salt. That's all. That's all it needs, people. Little oxidated seeds and all. Okay? Right? Smells like tomato. Tastes like tomato. It's just, I myself would prefer a tad bit more salt. Other than that, it's good. So that will work. And then I'm going to use these 2 cans and this. Yeah. Now, if you really wanted to, and I might do it, as a matter of fact, I can do it right now. If you really knew, okay, sometimes you get a jar of food that you can just tell that there's just something wrong with it. You know, okay? In that situation, and I've mentioned this before, I've done videos on it. Okay? Now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it in here. Okay? But before I clean this, I'm going to take this jar, even though it's probably okay, and I'm going to put it in there. I mean, honest to God, it looks fine, people. It smells fine. It smells exactly like those ones. Like, I'm probably being foolish, but whatever. Like, these are nice. There's like nothing wrong with this. Honest to God. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these tomatoes. I can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to heat them up. Okay? I'm going to heat them up. I'm going to put the lid back on and cook them again. And I'm going to taste them. Alright, see what happens is I put these things in like whole. So, you know, seeds in tomatoes can be sometimes different colors. Right? So anyway, I don't know. Maybe these tomatoes I bought, because 2014 in May, I don't know how I could possibly have tomatoes growing in my yard in May. So those ones I may have bought, okay, like from one of my favorite little Punjabi vegetable stores, because I remember doing that. And I came home and I did a whole bunch of canning. So that's probably where those tomatoes came from. And sometimes, you know, inside the tomato, the seeds aren't necessarily always ripe. Whatever, right? So, before I throw this out, because, honest to God, they smell exactly like the ones that I just did. And, again, you know, just because the can is on the inside starting to go a little bit, right? Just a little bit, right? That was just a little bit on that lid, and it was at the top. It wasn't in the food itself. Right? That's why I like jars. Okay? You can still, right? But if tomatoes taste really, really tinny, then I don't like to use them. That's why I like to open them, put them in a separate pot or a bowl, you know, or taste them from the can. But I always like to look at the can on the inside before I actually put them in my food to make sure that they're not, like, it hasn't been eroding in there for a long period of time. A little bit, you know, if the tomato tastes okay, I'm fine with that. But when it gets to be too much, I don't waste my time. So these ones here, I'm telling you, they look better than the last batch, okay? Right, they're nice and red. You can see. Oops, sorry, wandering eye. Okay? Now, if this was really contaminated and spoiled, you'd know, right? So in that situation, to be responsible, you really should put it in a pot, bring it to a boil it for 10 minutes, and then chuck it out, right? And then your jar, you would take it and you would put it in boiling water, and you would boil the jar for 10 minutes, and then you'd wash your jar. And that kills off any botulism, anything that might be dangerous to your health. Right? Oh my God. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I cooked it for 10 minutes, just like I did with the last one, with the lid on. Okay, you can see it looks good. It smelled good, people. It didn't smell rancid, nothing, okay? Now I'm going to taste it. You can see seeds, different colors, right? Obviously, every tomato is its own individual, right? So, here we go. You want to watch? Hold on. Let's watch. Tastes like tomato. Just, it doesn't have enough salt. That's all. I didn't put a lot of salt in these. I can tell you that right now. And you have to remember, when I can these, I also can them with lemon juice in a bottle. Okay? To bring up the acidity in it. This is actually quite good. Yeah, it's perfectly fine, people. Okay? Okay, so what's happening now is still boiling the beans. Okay, can you see me? So I put that in there, okay, because it tasted fine, trust me. Okay, it's fine. I told you, sometimes the lids, they do that. Okay, right? If the jar itself was contaminated, you'd see it, more than likely. And more than likely, you'd smell it. Okay? The probability of that is more probable than it looking normal and being full of bacteria. Okay? But we went the extra mile with it, right? We cooked it outside of the pot for an extra 10 minutes on its own, just to be double shored. And then I tasted it, and it tastes like tomatoes. But I would prefer more salt. But that's me, right? So now I'm opening up these cans, okay? And I'm going to, I myself prefer to put them in a bowl separate, look at the can for the same sort of symptoms, and depending on how bad they are, I may or may not use the tomatoes if you know, the can is starting to deteriorate because of the tin. So it's no different, okay? Not really. Not much difference. Right? I'm sure you've, in your lifetime, opened up a can of tomatoes and found it was a little tinny because of that issue. Smells exactly what I just did. Okay? Got a nose for stuff like that, people. Okay. Nice clean spoon. So we're going to take can number 1. Okay. Now I don't know what the due dates are on this. I don't see anything here. But I think these are newer cans. I just had a little taste, and already I can taste the salt. In terms of, this has more salt than what mine had. I can taste it. Right? Definitely has more salt. Doesn't taste tinny. Look good. I think these are newer cans. I was looking for the older cans, but I'm not going to tear my house apart. So I like to look inside. Okay. I like to taste it. If it's too tinny, I don't like to use it. Right. And then same thing with the tomato sauce. Okay. Now, the reason I'm not heating this up first is because it was done through a different canning process. Oh, that's good. It was done through a different canning process, you know, so I don't, you know, home canning is a little different than store-bought canning. But you just seen what I did, and I told you why I did it. So I'm going to put that in there. Okay, I'm going to stir it around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some spices, chili spices and that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to start putting a little bit of spice and hot chilies, that kind of stuff. Right, those little red ones, eh? Because I have to start frying the hamburger. I do have a old style thing that I can fry over here, but I'd have to climb up there and go get it, and I don't know if I want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do to keep it easy on myself, okay, this pot's getting full. To keep it easy on myself, I think what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm going to throw in some of these. You can see I have to get into my cupboard, look for my chili spices, that kind of stuff. Put a little bit of sugar in there, some pepper. You know, just start getting it like that, right? And then I'm going to bring it to a boil, stir it around for a bit, and then I'm going to turn off the stove, put the lid on, because everything's nice and hot. And I'm going to just move it over here, and I'm going to put it on a, or maybe I'll try and move it over there, but I got those big jars for those wheatlets, so I don't know. I only have so much counter space. Anyway, I'm going to get it off the stove, and have it sit on a breadboard, like a breadboard, a cutting board. Put it on a cutting board, right? with the lid on, and it will start seeping the spices into the food itself. All right. So now that I've done that, I'm going to taste it, see what we got, before I put any spices in it. You've seen what I put in this, not much. Oh my God, it's so good, people. Oh, you can eat it just like that. Like, seriously. So good. Like, it's delicious. You don't know how delicious it is. This is going to be great. This is nice. This is really, really nice. You could almost can that by itself. But I'm trying to make chili, so hold on. Okay, so I don't eat a lot of spicy food. Okay, I don't. Now I'm tasting. That's Jamaican spice from way back in the day when I actually dehydrated it. I burned my hands. I just took a little bite of this. This was like from 2011, I'm pretty sure. It was from a long time ago. Okay, I wanted to see if it still had a kick to it. I remember it burned my hands because like I said, I don't really work with this stuff, so I was doing a video, and it was new to YouTube. Oh, well, members and friends, you know, I'm just cutting up this stuff, right? All these peppers, Jamaican peppers, and, you know, jalapeno peppers, and pepper with no gloves, nothing. And by the time I was done, I was like, oh my God, I gotta stick my hands in cold water. And I'm laying like this, trying to sleep with my hands just burning. So anyway, you can see that Jamaican pepper does not very much, right? I'm tasting it to see if it has its kick. And I'd say so. So anyway, I'm going to put in, for now, 4 of these, right, for now. Because I can always add in a little more later, right? This is going to just seep for a bit, right? See, that Jamaican pepper's getting to me now, right? My mouth is heating up. And then this stuff here, I don't know. This is some kind of paprika or something like that. Just something that's been kicking around for a while. I taste it. Normally I go like this. Right? It has a bit of a bite to it. It's okay. So we'll just put in a little bit. Okay. And then this is, look at that beautiful jar. See? I told you, if I need jars, I know where to find them. Oh, I'll put that in my mouth and it's heating up again. So anyway, this is just some chili powder that I got from somewhere. It's been sitting up there forever. Right, so we're going to do it like this. Same idea, that's what I do. And taste it. That was hot. Ooh, that was really hot. So anyway, we'll put a little bit in there, okay? We'll start with that because we can always add as we go, because don't forget, I'm going to be putting in meat and beans. So this is probably going to end up being, God, maybe twice as much by the time I'm done. And I might even have to throw in a couple more cans of tomatoes or tomato sauce or something to compensate once I put the beans in. I don't know yet. I got lots of jars, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 of these in there, like this. I don't think it's going to overwhelm well. It shouldn't overwhelm. I want to make it, you know, I want to have a little bit of a bite to it, but not a huge bite, because it's not, you know, it's not something that we eat all the time. Right? So, but I don't think that's going to be enough. I'll put in a couple of these little Jamaican ones too, just a few, not too many. Just enough to spread around. Right, and because it's going to sit now for quite a while, it's going to absorb into the food itself. ShaMay used to come up here and grab this stuff all the time. Andre likes hot sauce. I don't mind hot sauce sometimes. Now you see, I can't really taste this too much because my tongue is burning right now. My lips are starting to burn. Oh my God. What did I do? Serious, my tongue is burning, people. My lips are starting to burn. I can't take my fingers and put them near my eyes. My eyes will start burning. I'm telling you, Jamaican spice is pretty hot. It lasts a long, long time. Whew. I don't know if I can taste this. I kind of threw my taste buds off the mark here. Whew. Now I'm getting hot. You know what? My mouth is burning right now. I wouldn't be able to tell how spicy it is. So I'm going to leave these spices out. Because we know this one's hot too, right? Okay. So we're just going to leave it like that for now. I myself still want a bit more salt. But before I put salt in, I'll put some pepper in. How about that? How about we put some pepper in? We can do that. That can seep for a while, right? And then I'm going to bring it up. Okay. I think those beans are pretty much done. So I just turn off the heat for now. Hold on a minute. Okay, so now I'm going on to the meat. I had to turn the beans back on because they weren't quite done yet. Right? In my opinion. They were half done. I mean, I'm sure they would cook in the jar, but you don't want them swelling, right? So you kind of want them cooked before you put your food in the jar, right? Because otherwise it's going to continue to swell, right? So anyway, all right. So this is the hamburger. So I bought 2 packs like this. They were lean, right? And they had 2 stickers off it. I don't know, $1 each off or $2 or whatever it was. Same thing with these. Okay. It was enough to entice me to buy them. So I'm going to take all these. I'm going to throw in one big bowl. I'm going to throw a bunch of garlic in there, seasoning, salt, pepper, that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to roll them up. I'm not going to flour them. Although I probably should, but I won't. Because you're not supposed to put flour technically in your home canning, right? So I'm just going to roll them up and then I'm going to fry them into little meatballs. Whew. I'm going to sneeze here because of this chili powders. So that's what I'm going to do now. And as you can see, I put my hot pot that I brought to a boil with the lid on, and it's just going to sit here and it's going to seep now until my hamburger is fried and ready to go. And I'll have to do that in batches, obviously, as my beans cook. And then once everything's all done, then I'm going to, I guess, take 2 pots, because it's going to be more than one pot. I can tell you that right now. Okay? But that's okay, because I want to do 7 quart-sized jars of chili. And then whatever's left over in pint-sized jars. This is a pint. Right? This is a 1-serving meal, and a quart is a 2-serving meal. Technically, I should really just start kind of working on bringing in these sizes, because my son could eat that in one sitting for himself. And between Andre and I and Amari, that would be enough for us, right? Versus having to open up 2 of those. So I may consider that. I might. I got jars downstairs, remember? So let me get on this. Hold on. Okay, so now I'm smashing garlic for this hamburger. I'm drinking coffee. Watching the clock. It's 8 o'clock now. Okay. I don't know how much I'm going to get done tonight. But once I get the meat done, the beans should be pretty much done. Then you just mix everything together, basically. Right? Maybe add in a bit more spice. You won't know until you mix it all up, right? Add in some salt, obviously, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of sugar. You know, give it that final taste, right? And then start canning. That's what I'm going to do, right? How much I get canned tonight, I don't know. We'll see. But as I'm going about my business here, you know, I'm watching a few videos, or I'm listening, you know, whatever it is, right? And I know I said I wasn't going to talk about this stuff, but there's this YouTuber. I've added her channel to my videos before, and you know, she had a little segment that she just posted, right? And it talks about synthetic human beings being manufactured to, you know, push the envelope, right? Ultimately, though, they need eggs, people. Right? They need that egg, but they take out the DNA and then they import what they want. Anyway, I'm going to add the link to it. That video, probably to this video, because it's on my mind. It's kind of off subject, but you know, when I get back to that subject, I just want people to be, that aren't aware, to be aware that, you know, we're in bad times, people, okay, with them trying to change our DNA. Right? They're doing it for a reason. Not for health, that's for sure. So I'm trying not to think about it, but it's kind of hard not to. You know? So you see how many garlics I'm putting in here, a fair amount, right? Because that's a fair amount of meat. And don't forget, garlic gets... Oh, that was a sneeze. Oh, that was another sneeze. Oh, God, here's another one. It's those... Oh, that's those peppers. The chili spice and stuff. Those Jamaican peppers. Right. And then after I'm done this, I just throw in a bunch of spices, like seasoning salt, the one I like, and mix it all up by hand. And grab my cast iron frying pan there, and I'm going to start frying them, and put them in another bowl. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to combine them all, and then this way they don't lose their shape. This is just straight up seasoning salt, the one I like. Right. And maybe a bit of pepper. You don't really need too much pepper in it. Right. under normal circumstances, I'd put an egg in there. I'd flour them, all that other stuff. But because it's going in a canner, I'm not doing that. Can you see? So now I'm going to turn off the camera and put my hands in there and make myself little meatballs and start frying them. Hold on.
Okay, people, so here I am. Okay, and I have a fire. And I love my uncle for doing this with me. It's a good thing. It's fun. I like it, and we're just cooking out. We are cooking sausages, marshmallows, and hot dogs. That's it. Bye.
Okay, so now I'm going to start frying them, obviously flipping them over, moving them around. I'm going to cook them pretty much straight through because I don't want the grease going in to my food because grease crawls in canning jars. You can see I probably could have used another couple of more packs in consideration of what I'm doing, but this will be more than enough because you can always go and get extra meat, fry it off to the side, and when you open your jar, you can add it in if you really want more meat, right? So, hold on. Okay, so this has been cooking now for quite a while, right? I want to cook it pretty much right through, right? Just move it around, right? Just cook off that grease, right? And then I'm going to take that little spatula and I'm going to take those and put them in this bowl, right? I got a little bit of water in there, but that's okay. Okay, so anyway, those are done now. This is spicy. I've got some beans in the sink in a sieve strainer. Now I'm going to take some of this. I'm going to break it up because I don't think I'm going to get everything into one big pot, right? I'm going to have 2 pots going here. So hold on. Okay, so now it's 10:30 at night. I've put all the sauce, all the meat. You've seen how much it was, which was a fair amount. Most of the beans that I cooked in the pot. Okay, now I'm heating it up, right? But I opened up another can of diced tomatoes. That's all it is, right? Tastes fine. So I'm going to put it in there, and I'm probably going to put another can because you kind of want it, you don't want it heavy, right? You want it a little, just, a little more runny, right? So that's why I'm thinking to put the tomatoes, but you can see I'm getting to the very top of my pot here. Okay. So I'm going to probably open up another thing of tomatoes, and then I'm going to put probably a few more beans, and I'm going to probably bring it up very high to the top. You can see that's a very big pot of chili that I'm in the process of making. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I added 3 extra cans of diced tomatoes. One of them had Italian spice in it. I added some salt, right? I added 2 extra chilies, and I've been putting in this, which is extremely hot, a teaspoon at a time. And I put in about 2 tablespoons of sugar just to take off the acidity bite of this, right? Because of the tomatoes, right? And now I got it on 5. And I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to cook it for a little while, right? And as I'm doing that, I'm going to make myself a coffee again. Okay. And then I'm going to start getting my canner ready. And I will probably can I'm going to try and do I'm just tasting it. You see, it could use a little more chili powder. This is not the chili powder that I normally use. I'd have to get into my cupboard and pull everything out to look for what I kind of want. And that's assuming that it's even up there. I don't know. So I'm not worried about it right now. It's still a little mild. So I'm just going to cook it for a while. And I don't want to add too much more salt in it. But I'll probably add a bit more chili powder. And maybe this. Right? But you can see how full this pot is. I just used the one big pot. So this is going to get a lot of jars, eh? And then this is what I've got left for beans, which I'm just going to put in the fridge for now and decide tomorrow what I'm going to do, because don't forget, I still have those hams, which I may or may not do something with. I mean, I might just throw them in the freezer, or I'll just cook them up and can them and combine them with something. I'm not sure yet. Hold on.
It's a sign we're getting close to the plantations.
That wasn't recording. I was saying, as you can see, I added in a can of this because I like the juice, right? So I put it in there, but you can see we're almost at the top now, and I'm going to put some hot sauce in here now. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that ham. I'm tired. It takes 90 minutes to do a quart. That's an hour and a half in a pressure canner. But I don't have to do the pints tonight. I can always turn this off and put it in the fridge. And everybody's going to be around tomorrow, so maybe somebody might want to eat something. Right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I keep tasting it. Right? I want to cook it for another half an hour or so. But it's just, you know, you have to keep stirring it, right? I'm just trying to get that right. Like it's almost there. Almost there. It's almost there. Using the rest of this, whatever's in there, finish up that little bottle. Maybe I can wash this little bottle and use it for, what is it called? I don't know if I can get this cap off. For my vanilla extract, after it's all said and done. I don't know. Anyway, that one's done.
No, I haven't seen them for 6 years.
You have to get right down to the bottom.
You were 15 when you arrived here?
Right. This is a big pot of chili, people.
Yes, now I'm 21.
A long time without
It took all day.
Yes, it's very painful.
Have you been back?
No, not
It's
once.
easier when you can just use cans of beans,
This is the first
but
year I've
it's more
actually
expensive to
started
do it
earning
that way, right? Versus with dried beans.
It's one of the darkest.
And that's another thing. I want to cook these beans just another half an hour or so. But I'm trying to bring up the heat slowly because I don't want it burning on the bottom. Right? And God forbid if it starts boiling and bubbling over. Could you imagine that? Oh, that'd be terrible.
He can finally make some
So,
money from selling cocoa. This is how the camps in Guandebe operate.
Andre,
Always work for food.
come here and taste this for me. Yeah, I want you to tell me what you think of it.
Has also started working.
I don't think I have to make it any hotter than I already have.
Your boss doesn't pay you?
Is it chili?
I didn't get any money at all until he decided I'd worked enough to get my own job.
You worked for free for 6
Good.
years?
Tell them.
That's slave labor.
People,
Yeah,
if you're listening to this is the best homemade chili you
I harvested.
Nana has ever made. Try doing it.
Okay. You like it then. Not too hot. Don't make it no hotter than that.
Bag and a half.
I think just like that, because if you want, you can always add more hot sauce after the fact, right? It is good, isn't it?
I want a bowl.
Yeah, let it cook for half an hour and then you can have a bowl. Well, there you go, people. So it was worth my time. So I'm not going to make it any hotter than what it already is, because if you want it hotter yourself, you can always add, right, stuff like that on your own. If you want it salty, personally, I would want it more saltier, but I'm not. I've already put enough. I'm almost tempted to put 1 more tablespoon of sugar in it, but it's chili, so I'm not going to. Cuckoo! So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cook it for about another half an hour or so. Like I'm slowly bringing up the heat, right? I just wanted to get it bubbling a bit, but not to the point where it's going to start overflowing, because it's right full to the rim. And so those beans can just cook for a little longer before I put them in the canner. And then now this gives me time to start looking for everything that I need now. I'm going to start with the quart-sized jars. I pretty much found enough of them around. I only need 7.
The city of Giglo is
So
40 kilometers east of the forest. Children
I gotta make sure.
who've been sold
See, this one has a little bit of a chip.
arrive at this bus station to be bought by plantation owners.
It's not something you want to use.
To observe one of these transactions, our NGO helper pretends to be a farmer. He's wearing a hidden camera.
But I can switch jars around, right? I think I have like 5 or 6 right now.
The station, waiting for the children to arrive from
There's that turmeric that I dehydrated.
target the most vulnerable.
And I was going to put little pieces of turmeric in there, but I changed my mind.
They tell us who's in charge of this business.
Because I came across, I bought 2 of these, right? So I can fill up this jar. So I have to get these in the dehydrator.
I'm willing to pay.
Only I put the dehydrator away.
I'll be very happy to find children for you.
So I might do those ones in the oven maybe tomorrow, just to keep it simple on myself,
This will earn you a profit.
right? Because I like to have my jars full. And I don't know where I don't know where the other one is right now, and I'm not looking for it. So here's that. So I'm gonna now grab a couple more jars here for this.
Like sheep, they're not all worth the same.
So this one's okay.
Finish your coffee. I'll get the children.
Yeah. I'm getting kind of dizzy though. I'm tired. I'm worn out. This jar, I don't want to use this jar. This jar needs to be washed.
Are worth roughly 300 euros. That's the cost of one
Anyway,
for 3
I'll be back.
years.
Okay, so it's almost midnight now here. See, this is the thing about canning. It can take you into 18 hours or more. So I've got my 7 jars now ready. Aren't those just lovely? And I am going to start filling them up. I'm heating up my water over there. And then we're going to get them going for 90 minutes. And then the thing about using those little gauges, you have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're on your feet for like 90 minutes checking the gauge every 5 minutes. So that, you know, I'm getting tired. But besides that point, so hold on. Okay, so there's my 7 jars. I've already wiped the lids. It's about 1 inch off the rim. Right? You can see how much that took up from the pot. Still got more than half to go. Okay? It's 7 minutes after midnight. This goes on for 90 minutes. So I don't know if I'm going to do another batch, because I'm getting kind of tired here. I've been kind of going all day, right? And plus I was out yesterday, and usually when I go out, that really just makes me tired too, eh? So I'm going to put the rims on, finger tight. Hold on. Okay, so I took whatever was left over with those beans, minus this little bit that I'm putting in the freezer for Amari, and I put them in the pot. And the pot is right there with the lid on, okay? Nice and hot. So I still may go and do some pint size and then be done with it. Andre's, I'm like, look, I made it to can it. I can always make more. I got tons of beans in the house. I still have tomatoes too. And that's the point. I'm trying to use this stuff up, okay? And make it convenient for myself. So it's 1:15 now. Well, I'm sorry. I got 1 hour and 15 minutes to go. Okay. So I still may do another batch just because I don't have any room in my fridge for this. And I don't want it sitting out all night. Although it's hamburger and it would probably be fine. But I'm not up for it right now. So we'll see. I'm going to put those in the freezer. And since I kind of have to stand here and monitor this thing, I thought I might as well get this going, right? Because I want to get this off my counter, right? So I'm going to use the spicy rum. You can see that. It will probably get me 4 pints. And then whatever's left in that vodka bottle, you can see, right? So 2 for sure anyway, right? So I figure 6 more and I've got 4, so that's 10. So hold on. Okay, so I got about 3 more minutes on this canner. Anyway, so I'm kind of done gooning on booze here, right, and vanilla beans. Now I still have this full pack. And then I got this pack, which is the Madagascar beans, right? I don't know, but these are the Tahitian beans. Okay, so that's what those ones are. I already used those. This is left over from that, right? So I'll do something with Andre with that. These I'm just putting up in the cupboard. Maybe one day I'll order just something like this for myself. But outside of that, I don't think I'm going to make any more on this right now. It was just something I wanted to try out. It's not like, you know, our governments allow us to make money, especially when we're poor. Right, they like to keep us poor. They make it too complicated to do anything in life. Honest to God, they sabotage you every corner. Right. So, but, you know, that's not to say I won't do another batch. And, you know, like I said, I'm trying to, you know, kind of build in something for Andre's walnut art. Something different. You know, I want to do something different. So, but right now it's not the priority. That's what I used in terms of booze. Right? I have in my room, but that's my bartering booze. So I don't particularly want to use that. So if and when I decide to maybe buy some more, I would do this again. Outside of that, we've got these ones here that's going to take 2 years. These ones are going to take at least 2 years before I can do anything with them. So the government doesn't have to worry. Okay? Me making $1 million on 10 jars of vanilla extract. Right? Right? They'd come after me for selling vanilla extract, right? Just 10 pints full before they'd go after a real criminal. That's the way it works. Okay? So anyway, these ones here have more beans. 5 beans each. Right? We've got 2 with the vodka and 2 with the spicy rum. So technically these ones should be done in 6 months because they have more vanilla. Hold on a minute. Okay, so now it is 3:07 in the morning, and that's round 1. I just took it out of the canner. Can you see?
Well, I'll jump on next then. And there's a lot, I think, to be excited about, but it's all uncertain at the end of the day, you know? But I mean, I definitely think the direction should be something
looking pretty good.
Decentralized internet.
I got those all done. You can see.
I mean, there's different,
looking pretty good.
Chain ideas. Holochain is one. Who knows if it's ever going to end up being viable.
Looking pretty good. Now there's the pot. So what's going to happen here now? I have a choice. But I'm getting kind of tired. So I'm going to finish this video. Okay? We're going to call it a day. I'll upload this tomorrow. Let me get my coffee.
That's kind of the idea. Get in front of as many people as possible while not putting all your eggs in one basket. But I also do agree with Dan in regard to you know, they'd be focusing on more, like getting a good following on BitChute, and then as well as all the rest. You know, the exciting part is the fact that this is opening up.
Okay, I'm moving really slow. My feet were burning earlier because I have bad feet, right? But I think what I'm going to do, because this is beef, right? Just let me turn this down.
And they were rushing this in, and they were knocking people off, and it really exposed how flagrant it was. You know, that they were accusing me of impersonating myself for like 2 months until they finally were like, oh, wait, we meant COVID-19. You know, it's just so clumsy.
I'm listening to all the YouTubers that got kicked off of YouTube. Right? So anyway. Okay. If you don't know, I'm telling you now. Alright? Beef can sit in the fridge for over a week. Chicken, 2 days. If you're lucky, if it came in real fresh, maybe 3. But chicken is 1 to 2 days. Right? Beef, you can have it in the fridge for a week or more. Right? When it's out on the counter after it's been cooked, beef you can leave out. Okay? You can leave it in your oven or have it on a plate with something over it, right? In this situation, I have it in chili. The pot, I think, is still kind of warm. Yeah. The pot is still warm. Right? It's better to leave the pot there on where it is, right? Off the stove. So that when you get up in the morning, because I'm basically going to go to sleep here within the next half an hour. And then the first thing that I'm going to do is get up and can some pint-sized jars. How many? I don't know. Andre's gooning for this chili. He's gooning for it, right? I reassured him that we can make some more. I'm trying to explain to him I just want it for convenient purposes more than anything else, right? The pint size will be perfect for him. It's something that he can learn to do for himself. So anyway, because it's beef, it can stay like that till morning. It's not, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get a quick growth of bacteria, right? Now, I've seen people leave their chicken out and they eat it the next day, and technically you're not supposed to, right? Okay, fish, technically you're not supposed to. Well, you could even say the same about beef, but beef is a little more hardy. So that's why I'm leaving it there, because it's like, by the time I get to sleep, it will be 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm already tired. I think what I'm going to do, though, so that when I get up in the morning, it's easy, right? Because I already got my jars, right? I'm going to wash this, though, before I go to sleep. So this is going to take 15-20 minutes to do, because it's all greasy, right? I'm going to clean everything up and get everything ready, finish what's in the sink, finish washing it, and wash this and just wipe down a bit. And then when I get up in the morning, I'm going to do these fancy, fancy little jars. Oh, I like these jars too. Well, but then I might save these jars for fruit. I might save these ones for fruit. Otherwise, this is a nice size jar, right? That's a nice jar. This would be good. So I'll probably do, I don't know, 5 or 7 of these. And then whatever's left over can be eaten, and then can always do it again, right? I have lots of beans. Yeah. So that's it for the video.